This is Dave Palumbo with MDTV, on the road to the Arnold Classic. In this first installment, I find myself in my car driving all the way to Brooklyn to meet up with top IFBB pro bodybuilder Kai Greene. I actually feared for my car's life because this neighborhood of Flatbush was not exactly the kind of neighborhood that had a parking garage or had any kind of high security for my vehicle. So Kai assured me that it would be all right, and I parked on the street and I kind of looked around a little bit left and right, make sure no one was looking at my car, and I proceeded to walk into the apartment complex, which was really nothing to really look at, you know. As I entered the courtyard and entered into the building and got into the elevator, I smelled a strong pungent smell of urine, of which Kai forewarned me, and he wasn't kidding. This is the famous piss-smelling elevator. And he's right, it does smell like piss. Whoa. No, not that. Whew, man. I thought someone was taking a shower. That's the steam coming out of the heater. Holy moly. So as I entered the apartment, I noticed something unusual. It wasn't a very elaborate apartment, but it was almost like walking into a museum because Kai had all his paintings and artwork, you know, all over the walls of this rather dim, you know, apartment that had nothing really much that would strike you as being fancy in your mind. However, it was definitely an apartment of an artist, and I knew that it was something special when I first walked in. Kai greeted me at the door, you know, very cordially, and said, "We have to go get something to eat. We have no food. I have to go shopping." Is this a typical trip for you every day?
Every day.
What do you usually buy when you head down there?
Lately, steak, fish.
Steak, fish. What else?
That's about it. Steak, fish.
Let's get back to the elevator for a second. Let's get back to the elevator. Now, you are right that the elevator does have a very distinctive smell. Why does it smell like piss?
Are there dogs that are there animals around there?
Are there animals here? There's no carpeting in here. I know you know the answer to this. Do people take a piss in here? Is that the problem? Proceeded to go shopping at the corner grocery store. Of course, Kai had to walk down there because he doesn't own a car. I don't think he's ever had a car, as far as I know, or as far as he let me to believe. We entered the supermarket where he picked up his 20 packages of tilapia, because, you know, Kai Greene is eating 8 pounds a day right now. Unlike other bodybuilders, you know, Kai is an extremist, and when he, you know, sets his mind to something, he doesn't consider failure an option. And I offered to pay for his food if he would feed myself and our photographer Bill Comstock, and at which his face lit up, and I realized at that very moment that this was a man who was living on a limited budget. You know, every green bean was accounted for, and every dime he spent was budgeted because he didn't have the money. He had just lost his supplement contract that he had gotten he'd only had for about 6 months. The company dropped all their athletes unexpectedly. He was a man now who was, you know, preparing for the biggest bodybuilding show of his life, and he didn't have any income coming in. You know, I don't know, at least in my mind, a better underdog story than this man. I mean, here he is, a man who grew up with no parents, went from foster home to foster home, you know, had to fend for himself in a very, you know, difficult world, had no parental guidance, had no parental leadership, really had no one advising him on how to be a man or a person in society, in regular society. And here he was now, one of the top bodybuilders in the world, and he's still struggling with these same demons, so to speak. While other bodybuilders, you know, out there, all the competitors seem to be living in the lap of luxury with high-paying contracts, high-paying magazine contracts, and what struck me as being even more unusual is that Kai wasn't sad over it, that he wasn't bitching about it, that he wasn't complaining about it, and he was kind of happy in a sense to be doing what he loved the most, and glad in a sense to be given the chance to do it, even given the Spartan conditions that he found himself in. When did you move into this place? Because this is an upgrade for you, correct?
Oh yeah, this is an upgrade. This is an upgrade. I done been upgraded.
Where were you living prior to this?
I was living in a room. I rented a room for 2 years, waiting for that moment at the New York Pro.
Now you moved to New York. You got a room in a boarding house. Was it a one room?
No, there was a bunch of people that lived there. Very colorful cast of characters too.
And did you share a bathroom with these people?
Yes, I did.
And how did you like living there? I mean, give us an idea of what it was like.
It was, I guess it was the same as you would find in any, boarding situation. I don't know if you remember being a little kid and you go to the bathroom and your mother tells you, "Don't touch nothing,"
Is that what it was like?
Yeah, definitely. You kind of, you bring your own soap with you to the bathroom, your own toilet paper, your own...
Sounds like when I was in jail, almost.
Yeah, well, yeah. Some would say it was very reminiscent of something like that.
I can't even imagine myself living in an apartment that had no air conditioning. I can't imagine myself getting around with no car. I can't imagine having to take the subway and the bus to the gym every day, adding probably 2 to 3 hours to my day. But these are conditions that this man lives with on a daily basis, and yet he overcomes these conditions, and he has still managed to achieve his best look to date. The fact that he'll probably show up at the Arnold Classic at 20 pounds heavier than he was at his last pro victory is a testament to the fact that this guy has an iron will and a no defeat attitude. I know you don't have a car. We're going to see in a little while how you get to the gym. You take buses, you take trains. Is this because you're so focused on your bodybuilding goals that you don't feel that the creature comforts that maybe some people may think are necessary are even in something that you even want?
Well, no. I mean, at the moment, presently, I wouldn't be able to say that financially that would be something that would even be... I haven't materialized the financial means yet to afford those amenities, but I work hard, I'm focused, and eventually those things will come.
Going to the gym with Kai Greene is probably one of the most enjoyable, entertaining activities you can actually participate in. I mean, this guy is literally the Rocky of bodybuilding, and he trains in the rockiest gym you can ever find. He trains at Fifth Avenue Gym in Brooklyn, probably one of the last true hardcore strongholds in bodybuilding today. We had to take he wanted us to take the subway to go there, and I insisted on driving. But yet, Kai every day takes the bus to the subway, and it doesn't bother him. He sometimes walks miles, 3, 4, 5 miles a day to get where he needs to go. When we arrived at Fifth Avenue Gym in Brooklyn, which was actually the gym that sponsored the very first bodybuilding show that I competed in 1990, I felt a sort of deja vu feeling almost, but I can understand why people still were attracted to this location.
Something on eBay. Good to see you. What? Trust me when I touch that shit. Hey, what's the magazine? Have him sign that shit. If you win something on eBay. No, now it's in the magazine, Good, man, good. How are you? Look at you. Look. Monster. Good to see you, man. Real good to see you. I see, man. Magazines and everything's beautiful. Yeah, I knew you when you were little.
Kai was back to his roots. He was in his element, really, and watching him
do his warm-ups before we did some photo shoots with him, and sweating, profusely in this dungeon like gym, brought back scenes of Rocky Balboa from the first Rocky movie. And probably the most poignant line of that movie was when Rocky asked his wife to be, when he said to her, the only thing that I really want to do is prove that I'm someone in this world. And I think that that's what Kai Greene is basically his goal, and his inner drive is driving him towards proving that he's someone in this world. And I don't think that anyone's ever told him that he was someone. And I think that when people see him at the Arnold Classic this year, they're going to be tremendously surprised by this underdog of underdogs when he knocks out a lot of these other heavyweight champions. And I know he touched my heart when I saw him in action, and the fact that he's always got a smile on his face and he never has a bad word to say about anyone is a true testament to his character. All right, let's go wild for a second. Let's pretend you win the Arnold Classic, okay? You take home a nice paycheck for $130,000. What would change in your life if you won that show?
I don't know if I can say that I really compete for money yet.
Yeah, but let's say you win the money. I'm not saying you're competing for money, but you let's say you won the money.
I haven't really thought that far. There's some people that can, turn around and look in the bank and be like, oh my God, it's on zero. I only have $100,000 in the bank. I'm dead. And then there's someone else, and they can have $5 in my pocket, and that's it, and still be more than okay. We're okay.
Probably the only real true mentor that Kai Greene has is his training partner and advisor, Oscar Arden. I know Oscar for the last 10 years. He's a true bodybuilding fan, number one, competitor, number two, and just all-around good guy. He really doesn't have a bad thing to say about anyone. And I think he really took Kai Greene under his wing and really wanted to show this guy that someone did care about him. And he's been advising him not only in bodybuilding, but in life. And I think that's something that Kai Greene appreciates, because he really never had anyone to offer this advice to him. I'm here with Oscar Arden, Kai Greene's trainer. And Oscar, you've known Kai for quite a long time. Let me ask you a question, point blank. How good is Kai Greene?
He's a work in progress. He's very good, but he's getting better, as the years come up. I met Kai in 1991. We did our first show together. He was a teenager, and I was in the novice men's. And we always kept in contact, and he's been competing, since 1991. So he's not, new to the sport. He's been around many years. A lot of the time, he progressed without doing the necessary dieting and training. He just made it up himself. It wasn't until we hooked up together that I showed him how to train, so he can recover better, better nutrition, and this is where we are right now.
So I guess the days of Kai Greene eating grapefruits and chicken breasts are over, huh?
Yeah, he put all those diets together, chicken breast, apple cider vinegar, rice cakes, tuna fish, everything he learned from muscle magazines, but he got him to the pro level. He won the Team Universe overall twice, and as a pro, to proceed with that type of regimen, it wasn't productive. So, he came out looking for me. We got together again, and, I kind of showed him how to eat a little bit better, train heavier so he can recover. And now we're getting ready for the 2008 Arnold Classic. So I'm very proud of him. He came a long way in a short period of time.
Now, I saw him today, and I couldn't believe what I saw. He's 290 pounds shredded, and it looks like he's a different human being.
He had a successful off season for the first time in his life. He had a short run contract, and MD supporting him. So he has a good off season, and I guess putting size, eating well, having the extra rest helped him put on the extra size he needed to be competitive at this level.
What weight do you suspect that he'll be on stage at the Arnold Classic?
He's 291 right now, anywhere between 265 and 252, 250. It's not so much weight, it's about conditioning. I know the other guys are going to come in, with shredded condition. So our main purpose is to, achieve conditioning at the same time, try to maintain the size that he gained in the off season.
Can Kai Greene win the Arnold Classic?
He already won it. we train every day, with the goal already done. The goal has already been accomplished. A lot of the things that I've done with him, in the past year and a half is work on his self-belief. He's got, I worked with a lot of athletes today, and he's by far one of the best athletes that I work with. Genetic potential. So can he win the Arnold? It's arrogant and cocky to say, but I believe it 100% sure. It would be proven, February 29th, March 1st, that he can, come off with that win, regardless of who's competitive. It's not to knock anybody else. We wish the best to everyone, and I hope everybody comes at their very best, because Kai will be ready.
Not to knock anyone else, like you said, but is there anyone else out there as hungry as this guy? I mean, look at the situation. He's training in a hardcore dungeon here at Fifth Avenue. He lives in not the nicest of places. He doesn't have a cush lifestyle. He doesn't drive around in a nice Mercedes Benz. Is this guy hungrier than everyone else?
No, he's not hungry. He's starving. He's worked very hard with very little resources. There's a lot of guys that had, major contracts, sponsors, and he had to work extra hard and dig deep, to really get dedicated to, pull off this future win. And I predict that he will do it. But he's extremely disciplined, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, he's focusing on this win. And, he's worked hard as a teenager. He worked hard, in his 20s, now, as a pro, I feel he could definitely, pull off this win.
This is a person who's got tremendous adversity that he's overcome, and with that adversity, I think has created hunger in him. And as his trainer Oscar Arden said, this guy is not hungry; he's starving. And I think we're going to see a starving, ravenous guy on stage who's really desperate for a win. And I would not be surprised if he wins the Arnold Classic come March. Do you think you can win the Arnold Classic?
Absolutely.